My name is Fidel Diaz, Fidel, last name Diaz, Diaz.
And when were you born?
January the 25th, 1933.
You are young.
Yeah, 82.
Where were you born?
Santa Barbara, California.
Oh, beautiful place.
Yes.
And tell me about your family when you were growing up, your parents and your siblings.
Well, I had one sister, father and a mother, who came. My father immigrated from Mexico. However, he lived in San Diego, Texas, and my mom was born in a reservation in California. My grandparents came. They immigrated from Mexico. I have 7 stepbrothers and sisters. They're now all living now, and I have 5 stepbrothers and sisters.
Wow, so you're
And
a
I'm
big
the youngest
family.
of all of them.
You're the youngest?
Yeah.
Tell me about the school you went through. Where did you go, what school, and
I
when
went
did
to
you
Franklin
graduate high school?
Elementary School.
Franklin?
Elementary.
Where, in Santa Barbara?
In Santa Barbara, California. I went to Santa Barbara Junior High, and I went to Santa Barbara High School.
When did you graduate?
I didn't at that time. I graduated later. I got out at in the 11th grade and joined the Army.
When did you join the Army? You enlisted, right?
I enlisted.
Yeah, what do you remember
March
the month?
March 3rd, 1950.
March 3rd, 1950.
50. Yes.
So you were 17.
Yes, exactly.
So, oh, okay. You didn't have to get the signature from your mom to
No,
get
my
in,
mom
right?
passed away, so it was my dad who signed for me.
Okay. Should be 18, right?
Yeah, at least, yes.
Yes. So you joined the Army, and where did you go to get the basic military training?
Fort Ord, ORD,
ORD.
California.
Yeah. And how long was it?
I was there, let's see, almost 6 months. Part of the training, I got leadership training after basic training. Then I had the opportunity to go to Fort Belvoir, Virginia, as a draftsman, or join the Army band. But
Army band?
Yeah, but it had to be a small Army band. It wasn't
What was the instrument?
A trumpet.
Trumpet player.
Harry James Jr.
And what was your specialty?
I was the rifleman.
Rifleman. Did you like the military?
Actually, at the time, I was enjoying it, and ever since, I've had a real close place in my heart for it. And I'm very patriotic. And basically, I think because I was a kid when World War II started. I was in 2nd grade, and they called me out of 2nd grade to go sell papers and extra, read all about it. You know, it's December the 7th. And then after that, we would go to a movie, and they'd have these clips during the movie where they show what action was going on over. And a lot of the movies that came out from the movie industry were all about movies. And Eddie Murphy and John Wayne.
Eddie Murphy, yeah.
All those guys.
The hero of the World War II, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So I think that kind of channeled me in that direction. And like I said, I turned those 2 positions down, and I went to Sapporo, Japan.
When did you leave for Japan?
I think it was around April of that year. No, March. I have to backtrack a little bit. It was 3 months of basic, then I left right after that to Sapporo, Hokkaido.
So after 6 months, so is it 1950 you
1950,
still?
huh?
So it must be like September?
No, see, that's what I was just trying to tell you. That I missed it. It was not 6 months, it was 3 months when I had my basic training, and Uh, then I went to that leadership school, and then I went shipped over to Japan.
So,
I went to Tokyo, and from Tokyo took a train all the way to Hokkaido, the town of Sapporo, for more training.
yeah.
While I was there, the Korean War was declared,
Right.
and at that time we went back to Mount Fujiyama
Yeah.
for more training, and then half a division of South Koreans came and joined us, and they were pretty bad shape. You know, they lost them and all that kind of stuff, and we each got assigned one Korean. Mine was named Kim Hok Kyu,
Mm-hmm.
and it was my responsibility to train him and be a partner.
How many Korean soldiers you said?
Half a division.
Half division. And let me ask this question. Did you know anything about Korea before you left for Japan?
No.
You didn't learn anything about Korea? Come on, it's an important country. You didn't know?
That's it. Well, no, you know, as time grew on, yes, I understood what was going on. You know,
Had you imagined that you would be in the Korean War?
No, I just wanted to go overseas, and I did. And before you know it, I was in a combat zone.
So when did you know that you were going to go to Korea?
They called us, all of the division together, and
What is your unit? What division?
7th Division,
7th,
31st Infantry Regiment, 7th Division.
31st Infantry.
Uh-huh.
Right.
31st Infantry Regiment,
Uh-huh.
the Polar Bears, 7th Infantry Division. I was
Okay.
in Company F.
Company F. When did you know that you were going to go to Korea?
Well, when they shipped us back to Mount Fujiyama, there were more training, and then they gathered us together and they told us, and they read the Articles of War, and we were pretty certain at that time. We were now hearing that we were at war with Koreans. We were going to Korea to help our friends and allies of South Koreans, because they were getting pushed all the way out to Busan, along with our military. And the idea was MacArthur brought us in at Incheon, and the Marines went to the north and we went to the south, and we cut off the communications, and so now we had them trapped, and the North Koreans trapped in between us and those that were in Busan, and that's what we took South Korea. We helped them out at that point.
When did you arrive in Korea?
The landing was in Incheon. I don't recall exactly. It was in 1950 September.
So you were in the Incheon landing?
Yes.
So 7th Division, all right, yes.
The 7th, the 1st, 3rd Divisions.
So you were in the Incheon landing?
Yes.
Incheon landing was done in September 15th.
Yes, I think.
Was it on the first day or second day?
We were there right after the Marines, and I don't recall what day it was.
The day after Marine
Yeah.
landed, so it's gotta be September 16th of...
So they went to the north to Seoul, and we went to the south towards Busan.
And you cut off the logistical
Yes,
line and
the communications.
communications. And then what happened? How was the situation there when you see through...
Well, the first night it was kind of scary because it was dark, and we had machine gunners. They had us in a circle and had machine gunners all around us, and we were all wondering what was going on because they don't tell you a whole bunch. And the following day they took us out, and we headed towards I can't recall the name of the town, but we were as we were going through to get to our destination, we saw some soldiers had already been captured. They were naked and hung by their feet, and that was like psychological warfare, and it worked. That
It worked means you were scared, right?
Yeah. So anyway, we got up in this. They made us go up this mountain to get higher ground, and we had to build our foxholes.
Was it Daegu?
No,
Where was
Ortega
it?
was further down yet.
Further down yet.
Yeah.
So okay.
And the first night we were, second night we were there up this mountain. Machine gunner. It was already dark. Started shooting. You could see the tracers going, and well, of course everybody's now alerted, and you know what's going on. And so all of a sudden, when they started shooting, so did the rest of us. You know, and this big lieutenant colonel walks up there and shoots us all out for shooting at his tanks. You know, he wasn't very happy about that. However, that turned against us because that night, a foxhole next to me, the North Koreans had come in and knifed two of our guys, killed them, and we were the next foxhole. And obviously, when the machine guns started going, they retreated. So I survived that.
What were you thinking when you were heavily engaged in this operation and the
Well,
battle?
you know what? At 17 years old, I was going to say something better. I don't know.
Say it. It's okay.
I didn't even know my butt from a hole in the ground. And so, you know, I just trying to follow what everybody else was doing. I needed leadership because I didn't know what was going on. And so, but as time went by, you know, you learn from your experiences, and I didn't have any. So, and it turns out it was a friendly thing, except for the incident that happened next to us. We're headed towards Taegu now, and it turns out that I was the point man for our squad. Our squad was always in front of the division. So that means this little old guy and me, Kim Ha-kyu and I, were always in front. And we were getting directions from people behind us. And at one point in time...
So the Kim Ha-kyu who came to Fuji Mountains, and he joined you in Incheon Landing and went down together
Right.
toward Busan?
We were going to Taegu.
Taegu. And what was his rank?
As far as I know, he didn't have a rank.
He didn't have any rank.
No.
Jeez. Anyway, tell me. Yes, continue.
And we stopped at another point, and of course we set up our security people around, and we were down about halfway down the mountain. Kim and I were, and he fell asleep, and then I kept hearing noises, even wondering what was going on. And we got through there, we heard a lot of firepower, and it turns out that they were shooting at a tank. The guys around us were shooting at a tank, and it wasn't Korean, it was one of our own. And well, all this stuff, you know, going together makes you wonder. And that day, I was tasked to take all the canteens to get water out in the open field. And then this airplane comes around, one of ours, and I was waving at him because I thought he was going to shoot me, because you know, the reflection of the sun off the tank, I looked like a target, right? So anyway, I got by that without a problem. But the following day, what I can recall was this lady and her daughter were coming down with a sort of a covered wagon, pushing it, and the security guys were questioning her, and they walked away, and then she opened up and got the machine gun out and started shooting at them.
Gee.
And I guess it killed her, but basically that's how it's going on. And we finally got to the Taegu River, I believe it was. We crossed that, and I came out and what was the name of the movies? The news?
Movie tone.
I came out in that with my rifle crossing the river, and then we got into a little firefight after that, and after the afternoon got another firefight, and I was tasked at that to take 6 North Koreans from where we were at to back to headquarters. And at nighttime with 1 rifle and 6 people, got them back. It turns out, to really excitement, a lot of the guys, like, bullet hit the helmet and went around and came out and didn't get injured. And there were just a lot of little things that happened.
So, What happened to you after Daegu? You went
We went towards Osani.
Osanni? Masanni?
Oh, it could be. Always thought it was Osani.
Osanni.
Uh-huh.
And
We got into another firefight there, and after that, the lieutenant asked us to get up on a bridge and take a cigarette break and stuff. And in basic training, I can recall that they said never get up on the bridge because it's always zeroed in. So we're there just relaxing, and this building, the bridge, the building came down like this, and there was two tanks sitting there, and while they had us all zeroed in, we were running around, and I hid in an out one of those
Is that somebody else's car?
outdoor toilet things. And Kim and I did, and we could see out through the moon, you know. And then we were kind of disorganized because everybody went in different directions. So we went across this ditch on the other side when we finally found our squad and we got back together. The bazooka guy finally knocked the tanks out. And
you have a very vivid memory of all this.
oh yes, very.
Yeah. 25th, 1950.
50. Uh-huh.
Where was it and how?
Right after this firefight, the lieutenant got us back together and starts putting in a marching order, and another tank come up the other side, and we all spread out again, and then we went through this field.
You mean enemy tank?
Enemy tank, yeah.
Still there?
But he was sitting behind sort of a knoll, and then he came up. You could see he had the camouflage with flowers and stuff, so it was hard to see to begin with, and took us through this pathway. And the next incident was the North Koreans were in these corn stalks, and as we walked by, then they would shed that and start shooting at us, stuff like that. And it was after that we were taking sniper fire, and those people were eliminated, and we were walking through this pathway, and the South Korean that was in front of me stepped on a landmine, and he caught the main blast. I went up in the air and I lost a leg. The other one was all torn to pieces and shrapnel up through my body. And I had a bandolier here, a belt with 12 rifle grenades in it, and two grenades hanging off my shirt. I thought one of them went off, but I didn't know. I just looked around, and I looked down, and I seen that my leg was destroyed at that point. But then by that time, I was kind of going out of it, in shock, and I could see my helmet going down the hill with Diaz on the back of it. And, my friends picked me up and put me in a stretcher, took me down a hill to safety.
Was it still Osanni or
Yeah,
where was
Osanni.
it? Osanni.
What about your little book?
Oh yeah, one of the pieces of shrapnel came through, and I had the Bible here. It went through it and came out the side and got me in the arm here. Fortunately, it deflected the shrapnel.
Were you a believer?
Yeah, Catholic.
You Catholic? So you pray?
Yeah, sure. I was playing in the LSD when we came on shore.
So that Bible saved you, actually.
Well, it saved me from going through my chest. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without it, you might been
Who knows?
killed.
Yeah. It was pretty good size too, because it made a big hole in the pair. Yeah.
So you went to MASH unit? Where?
Well, actually, there was a lot happened after that. My buddies picked me up in a stretcher, and they take me down the hill to safety. And a sniper opened up, and then I told the guys, leave me, because if they put me down, you probably wouldn't see me, but the other guys, they would, would shoot them. So apparently they eliminated that person. They took us down. There were 7 of us on stretchers that had been wounded by that landmine. And my next recollection was to see this big tank coming right at me, T-34 tank. coming. I could see the bolts on the bottom of that thing, and it's coming right at me. And they had two half-tracks behind me, U.S. shooting rockets, and then they turn around, they're shooting it over the top of us. The next thing I know, the gunner from the tank start picking us off as we lay there. And the tank came so close, like I said, I could see all the bottom of it. And, at the last minute, I took all my strength and rolled over, and he went right by me. And but I don't remember anything else. The following day, the grave registration people were picking up the wounded, and they came over to me, and your dog tags have a notch on them, and they consider you dead. They put the notch here, and they just Well, at that point in time, I woke up and I said, "Hey, wait a minute! Hold on, I'm alive.
I'm still alive."
Yeah. 2 days.
And you were shot a few times
Yeah,
before
I
that.
was. Yeah,
But they're just about
They were
pounded
gonna
down.
already pronounce it.
the here came out here. So after that, they put me up on the truck, took me to a mash.
Where?
I think
Busan?
it was Tago.
Taegu?
And they I stayed there overnight and witnessed all the carnage and stuff. And they did a basic. They didn't do any amputation or anything like that, but they did some repairing. They put me on a helicopter in the back of the pilot and a stretcher across, and I can recall that I got sick on his back. And falling there was apologizing to the guy. What had happened, my lieutenant after I got wounded, gave me a bowl of assorted fruit, a can of it.
And you throw that
and
away.
I threw it up all over the pilot.
So where did you go? To Japan?
I went to Sapporo.
Sapporo.
No, wait a minute, it's not Sapporo. Erezuki, Japan, to a hospital. And I stayed there a couple of days. And then I went to Tokyo, Japan, Tokyo General. And I can recall at that point in time, one of the magicians from my hometown came and visited with me. And one of my fellow company 17-year-old came up and told me, well, they just pulled out all 17-year-olds the day after you got wounded. And I said, really? So anyway, at Tokyo General, I stayed there maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and had a lot of people supporting me. One of the person that she came from the 5th RCT in Hawaii. She taught me lovely hula hands and all that kind of stuff, and to keep you going. And the sergeant.
Did you know your wife back then?
No.
No.
I didn't know she existed. My father did though. And then they flew me to Triplet General in Hawaii. And then when we left there, they put us in I think it was C-123, and they had us in stretchers up on each side and in the center. And one of the engines went out.
Ooh.
And I asked the nurse, so what do we do at this point? And she says, well, pray a lot. And we made it up to right on the other side of San Francisco. And from there I went to Letterman Hospital. I spent 9 months there. Had a heck of a time. I mean,
Wow, must be,
At 17 years old, who cares, right? You just do whatever. We used to have races with wheelchairs up and down the hallways, and at one time I got sent to my bed for 2 weeks for messing around and stuff like that. Yeah.
What did you do after you were discharged from the hospital? Did you stay in Army?
No, they offered me to stay in Army, but thank God I didn't, because I did a much better leaving the Army, and I actually did really well in civilian life. I ended up retiring from civil service as GS-13.
What is that?
Program Analysis Officer. And after that, I was a contractor helping out at Point Magoo, California, and helping out with their IT stuff. And then for 2 years. Then I moved to Las Vegas, and I worked here at the IT center of the community college, and then I worked at UNLV supporting the EPA. And then I took some time off and ended up going to college and graduated and went to at 66 years old. So my thing is, I was born in 33, I graduated in 66. In 1999, all divisible with 3, 11, and 33.
Did your injury bother you?
Actually, I think in a way I was fortunate because it didn't. When I went home, finally in Santa Barbara, I took it upon myself to learn more than they taught me in the hospital. I would walk from my house to uptown, which was about 9 blocks, and learn how to step off a curb and walk. And I'd go after breakfast, come back for lunch, go back after lunch, come back for dinner.
So a lot of walking helped you.
And so I was able to memorize the first 10 steps that I took without even thinking about it. And so I didn't trip, didn't fall over a rock, or anything like that. I learned it on myself. But then, after that, when bringing the family up, I used to take them boating. I was a scoutmaster, and Weaver's master, and a lot of support clubs, a lot of military, American Legion, veteran, foreign wars and stuff.
Do you regret that you were in Korea more?
No.
Why not?
Well, because we had a reason to be there. First of all, we wanted to stop communism from expanding. I was fighting for liberty, and our safety. I had a purpose.
Did you know that at the time when you were there?
I tell you, I was really gung-ho because of all those movies. John Wayne, Audie Murphy, and them guys. So, yeah, I knew what I was doing.
What was the most difficult thing? I mean, except this you're injury, wounded. And what was the most difficult thing during that short service? I mean, you were there in Incheon Landing and you were wounded in September 26th. It's about 10 days.
Yeah.
Very short time period.
But during D-Day, World War II, guys were being brought in straight from basic training, and they hit the beach and they didn't survive. So
right.
I made it a little bit further than they did, and I have a lot of respect for those people.
In your memory, what was the most difficult thing?
Afterwards, or during the time there?
During the time there.
Well, it's just the unknown. Every time you turn around, there was some click here, or you see some soldier on the other end lighting up a cigarette, and they told you to look for those kinds of things, and you just never knew what was going to, like that plane that was circling around me that I thought it was going to shoot me and stuff like that. And the psychology thing that I told you about, all those are playing in my mind. But
have you been back to Korea?
I was invited to go by the president, Dr. Kim. It was a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. I didn't have the money to go. I would have went. And I know it's so much different now. I was in the rice paddies and stuff. Now they have all these big buildings and things, and they're real modern. They got Kias all over the place. A lot of help from the Allies, and I just really proud of them. I mean, that they came so far. And I have, even my doctors, I have a couple of doctors are Koreans, and that I was really sad that I couldn't make it to Korea. I would have liked them to take my family. Couldn't afford it. And ever since, I've had a fondness for South Korea.
Mm-hmm. What is Korea to you now?
It's a divided country, and the North is just playing games where they're shooting up missiles and stuff, trying to antagonize the United States, and every time there's some kind of a war game going on, they'll do things to antagonize those people. Try to draw them in, I think. But my division suffered quite a bit because after Incheon, MacArthur pulled them around the island, came back to Iwan, and they went. My division, my 31st Infantry, all went all the way to the Yellow River. They were the first ones there. However, when the Chinese came,
Yep.
it was so cold, and a lot of them lost their life. And I met a lot of them back in the States because they were wounded and were in the same hospital, stuff like that.
What is the impact of your service upon your civilian life? Is it positive, or
It's positive.
what did you learn out of your service?
Well, discipline is a lot of it. You know, I didn't join any gangs or anything. I knew better to do something like that. Too small. But no, I found my wife about a year and a half after, and now we've been married. Next Tuesday will be 61 years. After that was my family and what we could do to help others.
Oh,
Beautiful family, beautiful family.
Can I show you something? They cut it off. It was blown off.
that was the
Blown
injury.
off.
Yeah.
And then the other one was it's
And
really
his
bad
other
shape.
leg, yeah, is
Plays golf,
Boating.
walks, boating, and unless people ask him, he
Yes.
worked with people for years. They never knew. He has friends and coworkers that he worked with for years. Unless they asked him, they never knew that he had a prosthetic. And you know, drives, he golfs, he bowls. He went boating for years. And I think the thing that
square dancing.
as a son that I watched, yeah, they used to go square dancing, that I watched was what was amazing is what he used to wear when I was a kid, the prosthetics, how they've changed.
Oh.
They were almost barbaric. And then what he did mention is he wore braces when he was memorizing those first 10 steps. And the memorization was because the braces were, you know, he's so balanced. If you bump into him, it's like walking into a brick wall. He's so solid. And that's because he had to do that because, you know, he has a prosthetic, and in the early days, those things were just not very well made. He had a couple of them that broke out from under his leg.
What is your name?
My name is John Diaz, and I'm the son of Fidel Diaz.
Only son or first son?
Only
Eldest?
son,
Okay.
and I'm the oldest. Yes.
Mhm. Please introduce yourself.
Oh, my name is Josephine Diaz, better known as Josie. Everybody calls me Josie. This is my husband of almost 61 years. Next Tuesday, we'll be married 61 years.
What do you think about the legacy of your father's service?
You know, when I look at him as a man and not just as my father, it's just an honor to be in his presence, the sacrifice he made, and it's really, you know, it's hard to imagine. And the discipline that he learned, he instilled in us as children. But more than that, our family, both my mother and father, have taught me service, and my whole life has been service. Public service. Our family, we volunteer for the U.S. Vets. Those are homeless vets in Las Vegas. I am involved with other groups myself, and it's just something that's part of my life. I can't imagine it not being part of my life. And I love that because it's very fulfilling, and more than anything financial. And I'm very proud of him, both my mother and father. You know, and I feel lucky that I was raised in this family. And in terms of his injury, I never really think about it. And he didn't talk about it to me until I was late in my teens. And during the Vietnam War, we were not allowed to watch the news. So he did shield us a lot. And I asked him later on, and he said he didn't want to expose us to the pain. And on hindsight, I appreciated that. And I ended up being a political science major, and I studied a lot of that at UCLA. And I'm glad I went with the fresh and clear head. And so he also sacrificed as a father, you know, and held a lot of the pain. But as adults, we talk about everything now. And you know, the story when I first heard it the first time, it was just unbelievable to me that he was out there for 48 hours or whatever, just dodging bullets. And it's hard to imagine that, you know. and being 17. I mean, I know when I was 17, the most thing I was worried about was what movie was coming out during that weekend. So I'm very proud of him, and the sacrifice and the service, to put it in a nutshell.
You made a very good point. Thank you very much. And I think it's all about our public sort of service. And your father was exemplify. Your father exemplify. You know how we can actually serve for the country and do some good for the people that you never knew before.
We live across from Sun City, and there were several people, older people that had lost their prosthesis, and they would always ask me to come over and help them learn how to walk. And the big thing there is the fear of falling.
Fear.
And I try to get them over that. So
It's been a great time, though. Believe me, it's been. I mean, as
I
far
used-
as I'm concerned, I know how he is, but it never has bothered me, and we just function as a family.
I used to bother her to get on her boat and chase the sharks and stuff, you know.
Wow. This has been a pleasure and good. I mean, I don't know how to thank you for your fight for the Korean nation. Because of your sacrifice, all the injuries and the lost lad, we are here, the Korea, and we always thank you and never forget what you
Thank
did.
you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you, and I hope that you guys can come visit
Oh, we will.
Korea and see
definitely,
what's
yes.
been done by your father,
Yes.
okay, and by your
But
husband.
he definitely wants to go, and I
That'd
know
be a
that we
wonderful
will
dream.
go.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Fidel.
so
Thank you
much.
so much. It's
Thank you very
my
much.
privilege to have all of
It was
your
a
family
privilege
together.
To meet you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank